Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of What's Going On right here on Fox Sports Rochester. I am your co host, Ryan Verneuille, filling in for Nate the Great Brown Jr., who is very surprisingly not here. Normally, this happens on days that the Knicks are losing, but the great Greg Vaughn is here, as always, to discuss and probably has a few bones to pick with a lot of New York sports fans. But, Greg, so do I. So do I.
What's up, brother? How
What
you
a game,
doing,
man.
man?
Hey, I gotta say, revelation after revelation. As I sat there and I watched that, as I sat there, much like my man Harper, Dylan Harper sat there ball watching as OG Ananobi skied through the air with that magical touch and put that ball in. Remember, Greg, I felt nothing but anger, nothing but hostility, because as a Yankees fan, Greg, there is nothing worse than any other team bringing glory to New York, especially to see Mets fans so happy. I don't care. The Yankees fans that are Knicks fans, you are sacrificial lambs. It makes me sick. But that being said, it was incredible. The greatest comeback in NBA playoff history. I got to ask you, Greg, have you seen anything like it? And how impressive was it to you?
Wow, that's hard to do. I don't care if you're playing NBA 2K. I don't know. I mean, you're up. What was it? 29 at the start of the fourth, or 25? This is where me and analytics have a problem. Because they still think they value threes are better than two. How about just taking your time, going through your sets, and getting a good shot? Right? Why come down and take 8 straight 3 pointers? I mean, what eight straight 3 pointers. I don't understand what they're trying to do. You know what I mean? That's why I said you can't eliminate the human element. Sometimes you got to take all that other crap and just throw it in the garbage. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. I mean, at some point, human element has to take over. I mean, you worked your ass off to get that lead, and with 12 minutes left, you decide you're just gonna give it back. I don't. Maybe this is the coaching experience or lack of, you know, with the Spurs coach. I think. I mean, you got to call a timeout. You got to settle your boys down. You got to get Wimby on the bench. You're up 25 just so he can get a little breather, right? Weather the storm and then have him finish up the game. And till you, I mean, at that point too, that's you have someone like Harrison Barnes who's been playing in big games his whole life, and he's sitting on the bench. If you have somebody like that out there who able to take control and hey, if we get this, we don't need a shot. We get the long rebound. Fox is probably the fastest guy in the NBA, right? I feel horrible for him because he's a great kid. You know what I mean? And he get fouled, yes, but should it have came to that point? No. I mean, you just play keep away at that point, right? You're talking about 6 seconds. It's like the guy, when you have the fantasy running back and the end zone's wide open and he slides at the three. He understands the process of trying to win the game. At that point, we don't need any more points. We just need to win the game. So I think if De'Aaron had it to do all over again, I think he would make a different choice. Just catch the rock and, like I said, he's the fastest guy with the basketball in his hand in the NBA. Run the clock out. Hey, it's 2-2. Going back home, right?
I mean, there's so many mistakes that were made. And to me, it's like you said, it's the coaching. Like they said, Mitch Johnson could have called a timeout, but it seems like he has the utmost faith in De'Aaron Fox. When Dylan Harper is dominating all game, he seems to score the most easily out of anyone on the Spurs. I don't think he took a single shot in the fourth quarter. And I think that's because, like he said after the game, Mitch Johnson's talking about how he trusts De'Aaron Fox really over anybody else at the end of the game.
Yeah, and you know what? And I think that's some sense of confidence trying to keep because he knows he needs Fox. For the not just this year, but beyond that. He signed a super max contract. He's going to be with the team, and you know what? Even if you do have a problem with your guy, I don't believe you play it out through the media. You know what I mean? I think you take it back in the locker room and say, you know, it's hard to come back from this one, but it's going to make him stronger. This the situation ever comes down again, I think they'll handle it differently. But like I said, man, why at this point take timeouts to the locker room? I think you call timeouts, settle your team down. I think it was the perfect opportunity for Wimby to get some rest too, because he's played his ass off. He's out there battling all day. But I just don't get, man. I mean, this whole playoff season when it came down to the Knicks and the Cavs, the first game, the Cavs were up 26 in the fourth quarter. You know what I mean? And they come down shooting three-pointer after three-pointer after three-pointer after three-pointer. You have the tallest man on the planet, and you're up. When that league got to 15 or something, hey, man, everything's going through you, Wimby. Get your ass down on that block. You're either going to get fouled or you're going to dunk it. You're going to get fouled or you're going to dunk it. But it's, I've never had a bad day from the couch. It's easy from the couch, but some things, man, just being a sports fan or playing sports, you you got to win the game. Name of the game is to win the game. You going back home 2-2 is a big difference. I mean, how you lost that game? I mean, that's it goes back to Cleveland losing game 1 against New York. Up 26, fourth quarter, and lose the game. They were up 26 with 7 minutes left and lost the game.
And that's
That's
where you
hard.
have to wonder, like, was it more of a Knicks comeback, and it was amazing not taking anything from the Knicks, or was it the Spurs falling apart? Because in defense of the Spurs, this is like the fourth or fifth time that the Knicks just have these ridiculous comebacks
But
to
but
close
but
out a
but once
game.
again, once again, right? I think it's a combination of both. I think it's the will that they play with Mike Brown being their coach, somebody who's always going to have their back and sticks by his guys. And hey, we're going to play hard, or you're not going to get on the court, right? Uh, Alvarado, they brought him in there to alleviate some of that pressure off of Brunson, so he doesn't have to have the ball all the time. I think they made great adjustments. I think, like you said, time and time again, we've seen the Knicks do this. But also, time and time again, that's when that analytics bullshit to me is horseshit. You're up 27 with 12 minutes to go, 10 minutes to go, 7 minutes to go. You're up 25. I don't care if it says shoot threes over twos. I'm going to make sure we win this game. You miss 8 straight three-pointers up 15. You take 8 straight three-pointers and you got the tallest man on the planet on your team. You can take the analytic bullshit and throw it in the garbage,
Yeah.
man. But like I said, at some point you do have to have some human element, and unfortunately, they have what, 5 or 6 besides Fox. No, they're all two-year players. Everybody on that court has played, this is their second year in the league. Besides Harper, this is his first year. But they do have experience from the college level, Villanova, Connecticut, UConn. They have winners, right? Vassal, Florida State. They have guys that have played in big games, man. But sometimes coach got to be a coach too. You got to find out. You got to figure out a way to win that game.
You
Don't
got to face those big losses,
you
though. It's like you really see the Knicks have just been built for this moment. Big loss after big loss, epic failure after epic failure. No matter what they did with Coach Tibbs, it just seems like they weren't getting it right. They ran them out too much, not enough minutes allocated to the bench players. They've been working for years to get to this moment. Only one player, Greg, I believe, maybe two players on that team were actually drafted by the Knicks. Whereas the Spurs have built a team. It's Wemby's first run in the playoffs. It really is amazing that they got this far. I looked the other day, and they're the second youngest team to ever play in the NBA Finals. Second youngest team was like the 75, 76 Trailblazers were the only team younger. This is younger than the Thunder team that just won the NBA Finals. So between a second year head coach, the second best player being in his rookie season, Wembanyama being on his first playoff run, you mentioned that they kind of, kept the veterans on the bench. Like Harrison Barnes absolutely would have been out there. So, that being said, what do we do now? If you're Coach Mitch Johnson and you're planning for this next game for Game 5, what do you do to beat the Knicks at this point?
Hey, it's just like you're playing, not to get on that boat and go fishing, right? You have to do anything you have to do and everything you have to do to win this game. And we'll worry about the rest of the games as they fall, right? But we have to find a way to win this game tonight, and we'll worry about, game 6 later on. But right now, we got to figure out a way to win this game. Right? We have to find out, figure out a way, no matter what, to win this game. And hopefully, like I said, I believe analytics is not a terrible thing, but I also believe that you cannot take away human element. Human element, and they say, oh, this guy doesn't, he doesn't have the highest. Larry Bird is not the greatest athlete, but the competitive nature, the his wherewithal as far as knowing the game, knowing how to play, and he's a winner, right? Just like all the rest of these guys. But this is going to make the Spurs. It's going to make them stronger because 15, 20 pounds from from now, Wemby's going to be a force nobody can handle, right? But they're also going to have to have their other guys play better. De'Aaron's going to have to play better. Uh, you know, shoot, I think the Spurs are talented. They just, to me, they lost a couple games in the series they should have won. I mean, they lost, but it goes back to Cleveland series. Cleveland did the same thing. Cleveland could have won a few of these games, and the Knicks find a way, led by, like I said, man, OG. I mean, he's a monster. He plays right. He plays hard. Josh Hart. These guys. I mean, even Brunson, man. I mean, and these guys play the right way. You know what I mean? So it's a testament. It's just screwed up that the fans of New York F it up because they go out and do asinine things like beat up, fans for just having a jersey on. And it's okay to be a fan, but the rest of that, man, celebrate with a little bit of class. Don't
We're
act
going to
like
get
the
into this, Greg. Hold right there because we do have to go to a break, but we're going to come back and we're going to talk about the unsophisticated, classless New York sports fans. And I'm not even talking about myself this time. The New York Knicks fans have done some heinous things. We're going to get into it. What's going on? Greg Vaughn, Ryan Verneuille, and Nate the Great Brown Jr. in spirit right here on Fox Sports Rochester. Don't go nowhere. We'll be back soon. What's Going On has returned to Fox Sports Rochester, hosted by myself, Ryan Verneuille, and of course, the wonderful Greg Vaughn, who you may have caught ripping some home runs back in the day in MLB. But Greg, we talked about the MVP of the game, of game 4, but we didn't really talk about the post-game MVP. And to me, that was the Spurs fan that took an absolute ass kicking and stood up and kept fighting all those vile Knicks fans. I think you know the guy. There was one moment that went extremely viral right after the game, and there's a gentleman wearing a Tim Duncan jersey, and he was walking into a crowd outside of MSG, Greg, and he knew it was coming. He saw that there was maybe 7, 8 Knicks fans that were drunk, high on the moment. I don't know what was wrong with these guys, but he just started swinging. He took down maybe 3, 4 Knicks fans before proceeding to get quite the beating. But in my opinion, definitely post game MVP. They ripped this man's jersey off, but he's still left standing. And I think maybe if you saw a lot of these fights and you saw the resolve of the Spurs fans, if you're the Spurs, it might actually inspire you to win the next 3 games because, after that vile interaction and many more caught on tape, how can you really root for the Knicks at this point? As amazing as they are on the court, the New York fans, and this is coming from me with the Yankees hat, the New York fans are rooting it. I'm going to say it must be the Mets fans. It has to be the Mets fans.
No, I thought I saw you running around out there a couple times. I mean, no, you know what, man, and like I said, it's been so long since '73, right? It's been so long since the Knicks have been in this position, and this is what we're talking about. We're spending time instead of talking about how awesome it is for the city. We're talking about how stupid and foolish and arrogant, ignorant. I'm sorry that these people are after the game, man. I mean, to me, when you would got more satisfaction of saying, just popping off instead of like really assaulting somebody. I mean, and I just think it comes at a bad time, man. When we have so much violence, so much stuff going on in the world that's promoted by this administration, right? We have so many things that make this typical. I just think as a nation we gotta start reacting differently, man. Don't prove these guys right, prove them wrong. You know what I mean? Just win with class, man. It's been since '73. I mean, now we got to go out and start beating someone's ass because we just won a game and they have on a different jersey. I mean, to me, it takes away from what those guys are doing on the court, right? And that's what we should be cherishing and talking about. How long it's been and how great it is to witness these these comebacks and in the heart that they play with. And no one thought they were going to be in this position after firing Tibbs, right? No one understood. Oh, that's not the move. It turned out it is the move, right? And but we're talking about people. I mean, going in and out, man, attacking freaking people working in the hamburger joints and doing. It's just crazy. I don't understand it. Maybe I'm too old now, man. But even when I was younger, I don't get it. I get that
It's
we're
like you
excited.
said, Greg. People are upset. People are poor. People are pissed off. It's hot outside. And you think that they'd be happy because the Knicks just won. 15 people arrested and Victor Mbanyama nailed with an egg. And it's like you said, it makes you wonder. Well, let me ask you this, Greg. I'll pose you this question. What's more vile, the behavior of the Spurs on the court or the Knicks fans off the court? Because we've seen Wemby throw at elbows. We've seen Wemby threw Jalen Brunson to the floor like a redheaded foster child. Or is that the
So
saying, redheaded stepchild? What was that about?
you know what? I mean, hey, that's in the heat. That's passion. That's what I need from my big guy. You know what I mean? It wasn't. Yeah, and I think Brunson played it a little bit too. With the fall and the, trying to get a tech. A little acting. Went back to the Vladi Divac school of uh of being in the NBA. You know what I mean? I just think that we should be talking about the Knicks and what they're doing on the court. I think it's bullshit what the fans are doing off the court. I really do. I think you know I should be able to be a fan and go to anywhere, a sporting event, and not have to worry about getting my ass kicked, especially after my team just lost. You know what I mean? When you know what I mean, and just the whole reaction, man. I mean, I think this takes away from sports. There's one thing to celebrate, but you tell me how this is celebrating. And they don't realize, they deserve to catch a case, just like all them fools that went in, the Capitol building on January 6th. They deserve and were prosecuted. I mean, this is no different. This is assault, except they did it in not one of the highest ranking federal buildings in the world, in our world. You know what I mean? I just think that.
It's a great comparison, though, Greg. I love we that now. That's a segment. Top five most disorderly crowds: Knicks fans or Trump supporters.
Well,
There's got to
Trump supporters for sure, because there's never a sense of accountability. You know what I mean? I mean,
yes.
there's never a sense that we fucked up, we did this, it's wrong. It's well, Biden, Obama, Clinton. I mean, they had nothing to do with January 6th. Just like they're teeing up this election stuff now. I just think, man, you win. We didn't hear them. Anytime they win, there's no rigged election. But if they lose, everything's rigged. Everything's rigged. And a slush fund. These guys are gonna get. How come Trump's not throwing money to these people out there on the street for beating up Knicks fans? I mean, are
That's
they gonna get
true.
rewarded
Yeah, why
too?
isn't he saving the Knicks fan? I thought he's a big New York. If he's at the Knicks game, there's no slush fund money going to save these 15 people.
And there should not be. There should not be. You deserve to catch a case if you do that. You know what I mean? If that's you proving your manhood, jumping on somebody for having a jersey on, you deserve to catch a case.
That would 100% be such a Trump thing to do. That would be the next headline. Slush fund money used to bail out the 15 Knicks fans that beat
They
up
don't.
Spurs fans.
But they don't look like his supporters. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's
So I
true.
mean,
That's if they were white Knicks fan, they might. If there's one or two, you might hear of one or two that get bailed out.
yeah, you might. Yeah, yeah. The other one's going. Shit, they might get 30 years. Shit.
Yeah, exactly. Despicable. So that being said, where do you rank that putback? But because it wasn't just one, it was two amazing plays. There was that behind, he chased the chase down block that he had, but that put in was to me. I mean, you know how much I can't stand the Knicks, Greg. You know I'm not a Knicks fan at all, but that might have been the most insane New York sports moment that I've ever seen in my life so far. Where
But
do
but
you
once
rank it?
again, it, but once again, it goes back to Mike Brown. Like I said, I mean, they know how. No, I wouldn't even say Mike Brown because they were playing like this before he even got there, right? I just think he found a way to bring them together. I think this is what New Yorkers love. I mean, this is what I love. I mean, the only thing you can control is your effort, right? And
That's right.
look how the Knicks play, and look how some of the losing organizations and their teams play. They don't play with that passion, that fire. They don't have the right guys, and leading them. I think if more organizations played as hard as the Knicks do, you wouldn't be tanking, right? Because they have some sense of pride. I just think that, right now, you know, we're not talking about the owner of the Knicks right now. Well, they were a little bit him sitting with Trump, but other than that,
Yeah.
he's not the focal point of they're talking of the Knicks. They're talking about the team and what they're doing on the wood, and that's the way it should be. Any owner, take it to Cowboys. As long as we keep talking about Jerry Jones, the Cowboys are going to suck. You know what I mean? It has to be about the product on the field, and as long as we play for the name on the back, you're going to lose. You play for the name on the front, you got a good chance.
So that being said, as we, come to the end of us talking about the finals here, I think that the most important person on the court besides Wembyama, the biggest X factor, even though he's a rookie, has been Dylan Harper, who they really haven't been playing. And to the controversial decision making of Mitch Johnson, he seems to just keep putting the ball in De'Aaron Fox's hands at the end of the game. And I know we talked about this earlier, but now say we're sitting here at the precipice of these last 3 games. Would you run the ball through Dylan Harper at the end of the game after what we just witnessed in the fourth quarter of game 4, Greg?
I would say it has to go through Wimby, but Wimby he can't be on the free throw line. He has to be down there on the block, or he has to be a pick and roll. So, Harper or Fox can get to the bucket, or, we got an easy lob, but you can't continue to shoot threes and, y- you know, do the same things you did to build a 29-point lead. Don't stop doing those things. Those things worked. You know what I mean? Just get a quarter of that right, and everything will be okay. I just think the lack of experience on the court, and Fox is a veteran. Fox, dude, I'm a Kings fan. Fox, I wish we still had him. You know what I mean? Because this what we seen last game is not who Darren Fox is. You know what I mean? Darren Fox is a great player. It's unfortunate that it seems like all the weight came down to him. But if you go back to it, the officials, he should have not have went up for the layup, but he was fouled. He was fouled, but he should not have put his team in that position, but he was fouled. They call the foul. We're not talking about, we'll be like, thank God he got called for the foul because, if he misses that ball or something happens, now we're talking about him being the scapegoat, right? So I just think he's a great player, man. They got to figure out how to win one game at a time.
And, I love De'Aaron Fox too. I'm also low key, I know I'm a Clippers fan, but I still love the Kings. I've always loved De'Aaron Fox, but he was put on that team to be the second option. Nobody expected them that you couldn't predict they're going to go and draft Dylan Harper. Steph Castle's great, but he's still extremely young. But De'Aaron Fox is that veteran on the team. And what do you get? I'm looking here. Game 1, 7 points. Game 2, 20 points. Game 3, 12 points. He did have that really clutch late game jumper, but 18 points on 6 of 16 shooting in game 4. He's got to step it up. But I will say, if he does, then that could be what sways, because it's such a close game every time. Every game has been, it could have gone either way. So do you foresee, as we wrap up this segment, do the Spurs have a chance to actually win the NBA Finals?
Uh, I believe anything is possible, but I would say slight to none. I mean, they have to win three in a row. We seen Boston do it to the Yankees, years back, so it is possible.
Oof.
You never would
Worse
have
than
thought
that.
that with that
They
team,
won 4 in a
that
row.
they would lose three in a row, right? And we're in the same situation with. I think Wimby says all the right things and does it, but you got to remember he's just 22 years old, man. You know what? This man is taking that team on his back, and you can go to SGA, but SGA is what, 26, 27? Wimby's 22. So with that being said, there's a lot of pressure on Wimby too. Not just for his nation of France, but He's playing for his country. He does all the right things, says all the right things. He just needs some help, and Fox needs to play like Fox, and I think they'll have a chance. But if De'Aaron doesn't do anything, I don't think you can put him in the game.
Definitely makes sense. One game at a time. We're going to see what happens, but we have more to discuss, including some Major League Baseball. And your Milwaukee Brewers are on a tear. You guys might have your best pitcher, maybe ever, in the history of Milwaukee. I don't want to diss because there's been a lot of great pitchers out there, but we're going to get into it. Don't go anywhere. What's going on? Greg Vaughn in studio, Ryan Verneuille in studio, and we'll be back after these messages. Ladies and gentlemen, we have returned live here in the city of Rochester on Fox Sports Radio. This is What's Going On. Ryan Verneuille and Greg Vaughn in studio, here to talk a little MLB. Things are heating up. We're almost to the half season mark. We're closing in fast. Time is just flying, Greg. And we've got a great new set of pitchers to look at. I mean, it's like the new crop of pitching is coming into its own all throughout Major League Baseball between the Yankees with Cam Schlittler and Paul Skenes and the Pittsburgh Pirates. Nolan McLean maybe taking a bit of a step back. I still think he's going to be a great pitcher of this generation. And of course, in your neck of the woods, or your old neck of the woods, Jacob Misiorowski with a legendary performance the other night. A Maddox, an all-time Maddox. I believe he had 15 strikeouts. A Maddox that Maddox hasn't even done before while throwing 104 miles an hour. Just nasty. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Just in general, a starting pitcher with that kind of heat, man. It's like Nolan Ryan's been reborn. What the hell's going on?
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. You know what I mean? It's good for the Brewers too, for the Brew Crew. You know what I mean? I think right now he is. He's that next. You know, carry. You haven't had this much exciting. Well, you I shouldn't say that. Skenes, but before that, Kerry Wood. You know what I mean? Nolan Ryan, someone that throws like he throws, and he's doing it. With minimal pitches, you know what I mean? Like you said, 97, that is Greg Maddox like. Except, I think the hardest pitch he threw last night was a sinker down and away, 105. You know what I mean? 105 miles an hour. So it's
Insane.
that hey, you won't have many losing streaks that go past 4 or 5 games if you have a guy like that on your team.
And, and I don't want to like ever speak these things into existence, but normally guys that throw this kind of heat, they don't last that long. Like Jacob DeGrom is kind of sort of who he reminds me of in that sense, where that just power pitching like that. But you look at Nolan Ryan, and he had a really, really long career. What do you attribute that to? A guy like Nolan Ryan lasting so long, yet Kerry Wood, like you mentioned, burning out so soon. Strasburg, another guy, kind of burning out so soon. Is it just a matter of luck? What can Misiorowski do to have that type of long career?
Keep minimizing his pitches. 97. We go out and throw 97 pitches every couple of days, twice a month. I think that's the way to stay healthy, right? For the most part, you take a Randy Johnson, Nolan Ryan, Roger Clemens, power guys, right? You take power guys. Usually, they're up around the 130, 140 pitch mark because usually when you're striking guys out, you throw a lot of pitches. So I mean, it's that much more impressive to punch out 15 and have 97 pitches. That's just unheard of, right? And it makes it for a good night too. It makes it for a good Friday night. You're able to still go out and get a good meal after the game, and get back and get ready for that day game the next day. Usually but like I said, man, if he minimizes his pitch count, who knows what this guy's going to do?
As a guy that's hitting over 300 home runs in Major League Baseball, Greg, have you seen a pitch that fast before? First off, I mean, what a difference is it to see a ball coming in at 104 miles an hour versus say like 98 miles an hour?
I think it's a big difference, and it's what the ball does too. It's like the White Gooden. This ball got halfway, and then it jumped. It's Brett Saberhagen. It's Roger Clemens. He pitched up in the zone. Nolan, I've seen that firsthand, up close and around my head. The first two pitches he's going to throw at your head, then he's going to do his thing. Uh, 100 is 100, but 105, no, I can't speak on that. I just think that, as an opposing player, no matter who's on that bump, you think you're gonna compete and bust your ass and try to do whatever you can to help your team win. But at the same time, that game's history. Whoever we face now, somebody got to pay. Somebody got to pay for last night, right? And I think we were talking about the Spurs. I think now we fast forward, we go to baseball. I think the Phillies after last night, well, they had that mentality that last night's last night, took one on the chin. They got the type of guys that someone's gonna pay today.
Yeah. So you as a hitter, how do you approach? I got to ask this too. While we got, because I mean, you don't get to ask too many people that have actually hit at your level. How do you approach even going up against a guy that can throw that fast? Like when you went up against Nolan Ryan, what was the approach that you took?
Don't miss his mistake, and I think that's we say that with all pitchers, but I think anybody that says they're sitting on slider and breaking balls when the guy's throwing that hard is crazy. You know what I mean? I always got ready to hit the fastball and made adjustments. It's You just can't miss your pitch. You can't foul it off. You can't miss it because they get on a run, man. They get on a heater, and next thing you know, it's 97 pitches and 15 strikeouts later, right? So I just think my approach was don't miss your pitch, and I mean, a guy throwing that hard, man, you'd be silly. Or, can I say you just be stupid to look for anything other than a fastball? And this is where analytics come in. I think if you heard Manny Machado's comments, we're getting too much information. I'll tell you this: my couple of my conversations with the late great Willie Mays, right? You know what he said? He said, "Hey, Vonnie, how you become a good breaking ball hitter?" I said, "What's that, Mr. Mays? Don't miss the fastball. There's not a good breaking ball hitter out there alive." And I played with Tony Gwynn, Robin Yount, Paul Molitor. I mean, some special guys. I played against a lot of other Hall of Famers, but they had a plan and he stayed to your plan. Because if a pitcher throws us a good breaking ball, you're not going to hit it anyway. So why am I going to go up there, the guy throwing 105, and look for something else besides 105? If he throws me one at 102, he did me a favor. Shit, I got a chance.
I guess that makes sense. Man, I never really thought about it. Yeah, but there isn't like a guy like it's just that hard.
Yeah,
Definitely.
but
Well, look, man.
hitting's, I mean, first of all, round ball, round bat. You have
Yeah.
8 defenders out there, not counting, because we're not counting the catcher. He's behind me. And if you do square it up, then you got 8 guys that can make a play. So, I mean, it's tough already, right? It's already tough. So why not simplify it a little bit and say, "Hey, we've been hitting fastballs ever since you've been 7 years old. Let's keep hitting fastballs and hit the mistake breaking ball." But we can't go up there like some of these teams and some of these information guys, the analytic guys that never played this sport and say, "Hey, this guy throws 65% sliders and I mean, I can't go up there worrying about his slider. You know what I mean? I got to go. If he hangs me a slider or makes a mistake with a slider or 2 strikes, I can foul one off, but I can't go up there basing my at bats on trying to hit breaking balls. It's not going to happen.
So what you're saying is that unless you have somebody ready to bang on some trash cans and some buzzers, it's pretty hard to hit a breaking ball. Okay, makes sense. Wow.
Well,
So
even if you know if it's coming, because like I said, if a pitcher throws you a good breaking ball, it's going to be down away where it ends up on the black, and it's going away from you. But we want to hit mistake breaking balls, but we got to hit fastballs, man. I mean, these guys right now are throwing harder than ever. Why would I ever go up there? I can look out over the plate that my intuition he might throw me a breaking ball, but I still got to set up for fastball. I can never set breaking ball and then try to correct and hit fastball. It has to be the other way around. Fastball just to breaking balls.
so a lot to take in there to all the baseball fans out
Don't be
there.
late to the party. Hey, when he moves, you move. Do not be late to the party. When he moves, you have to do something.
So to wrap things up while we're in the NL Central, Nate's always talking about the NL Central. and how great they are. But the Brewers have found themselves back to the top where I think they rightfully belong. They're clearly the most consistent team in the past decade out of that division. What are your thoughts? Is there a chance that maybe finally they can get over the hump with a team that's built from the in-house over the Dodgers, or do we really stand no shot over there in Milwaukee, Greg, with the Brew Crew
No, no,
when the
I
playoffs
think
come?
I think everyone stands a shot. Like I said, you have a short series and he throws 97 pitches, you might get him twice. You know what I mean? So you might get him twice in a 7-game
Mm.
series. So that's how you got to look at it. I think the Brewers, what the Brewers do is they're different than everyone else. They don't go up there saying we're going to hit 8 home runs today. The Brewers, they take walks, they steal bases, they play defense, they move guys over, and they find ways to manufacture and score runs. They don't rely on just the home run. They're pretty fundamentally sound, and they put pressure on the defense. So the Brewers have a great chance. They don't strike out a lot. They put the ball in play, and they can run. And I think that's good for baseball. You know that you just don't have guys over there hitting home runs. They do have some guys that can hurt you, but for the most part, hey man, they go first to third, and they're going to score on a base hit. I was at the game the other day watching the Blue Jays. I was in Toronto watching the Blue Jays and the Phillies, and I swear Toronto had to get 4 hits to score 1 run, and that's some. The Brewers would have scored 3. And you look back on the game because no one goes first to third. Uh, Base hit up the middle, bases loaded. They get 1 run. Guy doesn't score from second. That's hard to do, man. And guys don't throw. Outfielders don't throw. So if you get a good secondary lead, if you work on the small things, and this is what the fundamentals, and this is what the Brewers do. This is what the Dodgers do. You know, they work on fundamentals. The Dodgers don't usually they don't strike out. They can put a ball in play and get a guy over and get a guy in from third base. So I think the Brewers are in a good position, man. And from what I'm hearing, if Scooble's available, they might go make a run at him too. So now you got him and Scooble. Good luck.
Now
Hey,
that would be
good
oof,
pitching shuts down good hitting every time.
that's right. And if they get stuck in a division series where it's the 3-game series, could be
Oof.
trouble for whoever they're against. You're absolutely right. We're going to go to a quick break and talk more baseball and a few moves in the NFL that I need Greg's expert opinion on. This is what's going on. Greg Vaughn, Ryan Verneuille in studio, and we'll be back after these brief messages. We are back. This is what's going on with Ryan Verneuille and Greg Vaughn here in studio. And we're reporting that bandwagon fans all over the world are very happy these days between the New York Knicks and their bandwagon fans, and now the Kansas City Chiefs. And I know there's a lot of people that jumped off the bandwagon, but get ready to jump back on because the great Patrick Mahomes has agreed to rework his contract, and it's valued at more than $500 million. He'll be there till 2033. Big news in the world of Kansas City and the Chiefs. And people forget about Pat Mahomes. All it took was just a couple of seasons to forget all about the greatness of Patrick Mahomes. And I ask you this first off, where do you rank this deal? Do you think this is going to be something that the Chiefs regret, or is this a no-brainer, Greg?
Well, I think it's a no-brainer already. He's a winner. You know, he's already brought him 2 Super Bowls, and they're fighting for a Super Bowl every single year, right? They were a couple injuries away. He got hurt last year. They didn't play that good. They're adding to their roster now, and I think they're going to be a lot more effective. But I mean, it's a no-brainer. I mean, he's a generational quarterback that has won. You know, we're not waiting for him to still win. He has won. As long as he takes the field, they're in position to win. So, I'll hey, it's a no-brainer. Good for Pat Mahomes and his family, and hey, to any athlete that gets paid, good for you.
Oh, hell yeah. Gotta love it. He earned it. 5 Super Bowl appearances, 3 Super Bowl victories. There was a point there, Greg, where people were thinking that he was going to be better than Tom Brady. That when you look and you see some of these highlights, he looks like he could be maybe eventually the greatest of all time if he has that level of consistency and wins some more Super Bowls. So just so far, not to I know he's still halfway through his career, if that, but where do you rank Pat Mahomes from a talent standpoint when it comes to all-time quarterbacks that you've ever seen?
Hey, he does what he once again he does what he has to do to win the game, right? He doesn't. He has a scrambled all game. Next thing you know, he runs 13 yards for first down to keep a drive moving. You know, I mean, just the way he improvises. Underhand shovel passes, behind the back, no look passes. He does whatever he has to do to win the game. And hey, man, when your leader leads like he leads, and he knows the offense in and out, what can you really show him that he hasn't seen already? He's seen it all, right? He just needed a supporting cast to stay healthy, and he's done it with virtually without any big time wide receivers, right? So if Rice can stay out of trouble, stay out of jail, and do all the things, and Worthy can stay healthy, and I think they added somebody else, and they have two running backs now. I just think that we could be talking about him being the greatest of all time. But you got to remember, he at this point in his career, he's ahead of Tom Brady. So, you know, uh, I just think he has to be able to stay healthy, and he's one of the best competitors out there, and we'll see what happens.
Records are meant to be broken, but it still just is mind blowing to think that Tom Brady has more Super Bowls than any team in NFL history. Just mind blowing. I'm sorry, Greg. It really is a crazy stat. And just the level of winning and his mentality. I don't know. It's tough. Like just the personality of Tom Brady, that drive. And I know he was on a heinous organization with a vile owner. Terrible stuff. They're all on lists and islands, everything else. But man, and I'm a Giants fan, man. So maybe I have a little bit more love towards Brady since he helped us with our two Super Bowls by allowing us to win.
Well, you know what, Brady. I mean, if so many other quarterbacks had the maturity and the wherewithal to do what Brady did, he said, "I'm gonna make every team that passed me up pay," and that's my mentality every single day. Every single day, I'm when I get up, I'm gonna continue to get better. I'm gonna use that motivation, and he did. He made for 20 plus years. He made the NFL pay for all those teams that passed him up and made him a 6th round pick, right? And that shows you the maturity and how it's different than the guy that lost the Heisman from Vanderbilt and all this other stuff. It's Tom Brady. I mean, he's up there. He is the GOAT. Even though I think Joe Montana is, he still is the guy. He has more than anybody else, right?
So you still look at Montana as better than Brady. I know that you're a little biased though, Greg. As
No,
my
that's yeah, no doubt. But I mean, but how can you take anything away from Tom Brady? I mean, Tom Brady 6 Super Bowls, right? And he did it too with sometimes. I mean, just his will to win won them games, right? And Belichick let him do what he needed to do, and he was able to run that offense for 18 years plus before he went to Tampa. And hey, New England got a chance to to be etched in stone as the winningest franchise of all time.
I mean, there's a difference between like winning and, like you said, it's all about who's around you. It's so hard, and especially with different eras of quarterbacks, to determine who really is the greatest. But I do take your opinion seriously, and with the help of AI, it's a lot easier to line up stats with one another and to not necessarily find out who's better, but at least look and see the numbers to see who's so far better. And it's like you said, so far Mahomes is definitely better, but I mean, will it last? I mean, it's one
Yeah,
thing for him to get such a he had a
and it's
dynasty.
different. Yeah, and you know what? And it's different too because you looked at when Montana and those guys were doing what they. I was with LT one time. LT said Montana's his goat because he got killed. We got to
Yeah.
kill them. These guys now you can't push them. You know what I mean? So these guys they're playing on different worlds. The money's so large. People want to see offense. Uh, the quarterbacks are the faces, right? It's just like NBA. You don't see those Detroit type of fouls anymore in the NBA. I mean, if a good foul now is a flagrant one, and you're like, geez, that wouldn't even be a foul back in the day, right? And so I just think that the game is set up for on opposite side for guys to score and have success. I was with Ahmad Rashad one time. He said damn, I led the league with like 68 catches one year. You know what I mean? He said, I came off the line, I would get hit with a forearm shiver. Guys would have cast on. Guys would do this. He said, you get put in prison for what he had to go through. And he led the league with 68 catches now. He said he'd have 200 catches now. I mean, these guys can't touch him. You could just run off the line and do whatever. So, like I said, the game is, we're not taking any flowers away from anybody. The players can't help with the way the rules are set up. And you just got to go out there and try to be the best you can be.
Just look at the difference in the hits that Brady was taking in the beginning of his career to the end of his career. Do you remember when they would just take his head off? When his division rivals, like I remember there were a few plays where the Bills in particular would just crush this man. But it was like a totally different game. You really can't compare eras, especially with football, I feel, because it's just like you
Or,
said,
e-
like
or,
you'd
e-
be
or
in
even
prison.
or even basketball. Look what
Yeah.
Detroit would do to Michael, or Barkley and those guys. You go play Portland and Lucas and all the dude. I mean, even the Knicks or the Celtics back then. I mean, it was these guys don't get. I mean, they don't get touched. You know what I mean? It's a different era. It's not their fault. But how do you decipher between who's the greatest of all time and not greatest of all time? Because it was a different set of rules, right?
And that's why I like the term Mount Rushmore because it's different generations all on one. And by the way, I don't know if you heard the news, but our president's adding himself to Mount Rushmore very
Shocker.
soon. We'll see if they
That,
stop this
that,
from happening.
it's dude, it just doesn't stop, man. It just doesn't stop. And like I said, I can respect people. Like I said, I'm a nonpartisan, but for me, man, you got to have compassion about people. And I mean, as a nation, aren't you? Are we just leading? I mean, we just care about one particular color or party of a color. We don't care. We don't care about all people. You know what I mean? I mean, as a president, aren't you supposed to lead all people and compare? Have compassion for everyone. Yeah, man. It just gets sickening. I try not to watch it. I try not to give him 1 ounce of my time. You know what I mean? We only have so much time on this planet, and I try to keep my peace and my pace, even with people. Because I mean, I have friends that the first thing out of their mouth when something is asinine, they can't say it's wrong. Well, Hunter Biden did. So is it?
Deflection.
It's
It's
wrong for
like
Hunter, but it's
basic.
not wrong for him.
It's
So
that's the
I
whole thing.
so
Is like instead
I
of
just
ever
don't get it.
admitting guilt for their president or admitting guilt for whoever it is, it's some type of deflection. And when the
Oh yeah,
president is the
always
king of gaslighting, deflection, he's talking to us like his
conspiracy theories.
girlfriend.
I mean, bullshit.
Yeah.
Conspiracy theories. It's just bullshit. Facts are facts. So I'm gonna believe RFK over some scientists and people that have been doing this for 20 and 30 years.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put all my trust in fucking Pete Hegseth, who was a fucking you talking about DEI? DEI, everybody on his cabinet's fucking DEI. They all
Yeah.
came from Fox, and they just blow him all day long, and 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 he hires them. I tell you what, if there's ever a black pilot or a female or male, I'm getting on that plane because they're overqualified. Trust me,
Yeah.
Hispanics
Honestly,
are
you're way
overqualified.
better off.
Yeah,
Way
they're
better off at this
overqualified.
point.
Overqualified.
Yeah.
But all this DI shit, everybody in this cabinet is DI. Every single one of them. Every single one came from Fox News. We got the guy leading the FBI, podcaster. The guy leading our Fox host, he Hexet, Department of War. He got fucking kicked out the military, and now he's saying what we need and what we don't need. We're getting played by Iran and everybody else. So dude, I'm just over it. You know, DI, DI, trying
It's a
to
joke.
erase Black history, and it's just appalling that you have four-star generals that were supposed to be commended, and we're canceling it because we're not going to recognize Black people. But we're not supposed to be mad. It's okay. You know what I mean? These guys have been doing it for their whole life, and it's time to get their flowers. And this guy just cancels. Yeah, man, it's bullshit.
I think
So I
it'll be
mean, I know I can
reversed.
get hate mail. People can hate me, not hate. I don't care.
No, Greg, I'm 100% on your side and on the side of like of what's right, right? Like it's like really a matter of just
Like you
like
said, though,
being
but you right. But you know what you said? It's not even about my side. What is right, and what's wrong
Yeah,
is wrong.
exactly.
That's the side what we should be on, right? Law is law, rules are rules, and they're just all out the door with this, And anybody that defends paying these some bitches for mobbing our Capitol building on January 6th, yeah, I can.
Go celebrate with
I
the
have
Knicks fans.
no words for you.
Go
You are
stand outside of Madison
despicable.
Square Garden.
Yeah, despicable, just human being. If you justify that bullshit, yeah, I don't know what type of Christianity you have.
Bingo, you just said it right there. It's so funny. All these God-fearing, good Christian people, it all
Well,
goes
no,
out the window.
it's white nationalist Christian. It's not God
Exactly.
fearing. See, you can't state anything with God fearing because God doesn't say do any of those things that they're doing. So it's not God fearing Christian. It's white nationalist. It's racist. It's racism.
Yeah. I should have put the air quotes around it. It's wasps. It's the
Yeah.
wasps. We've talked about them many times. Vile people. We hope all of you join the next Knicks watch party at the Garden as they move to San Antonio. Group them all
Hey,
up. We'll let the NYPT go to town. We'll see what happens, man. But that
just
being
win with
said,
some class, dude. I mean, if you win, hey, hats off, and you know, rise up, man. Rise up. Don't give that man a chance to call the National Guard back in your town. Do
yeah,
the right thing.
exactly.
Don't give him a chance to put the National Guard in your town.
Or ICE. Next thing you know, ICE will be at this Knicks games.
Oh, dude, yeah, it's a joke. Hey,
It
how about
truly
those
is.
guys? How about the guys that came from January 6th? Now they're working for ICE.
You really cannot make it up. It's his own
Hey,
personal.
how many Bloods and Crips are working for ICE? How many Nathaniels or anybody working for? No, none. But if you're a white nationalist, you can work for ICE.
Yeah, it's like his own little personal army. It's the Gestapo. This is our modern Gestapo, truly.
Yeah. It is. Let's not give this fool no more
And that being
ounce
said,
of our energy.
yeah, yeah, we've given him too much.
Baseball season's heating up, man. We got, we're about almost to the All-Star break. The Knicks could bring home that trophy tonight. I mean, that's what we should be talking about. We shouldn't be talking about
Yeah.
this fool.
Yeah.
I
You're
mean,
right.
yeah.
You're absolutely right. And on that note, we'll be back next week with the results of the NBA finals. And let's see if we were correct. So, Greg, what's your final prediction for who's taking it home in these NBA finals?
Well, I think the Knicks will win, but I think San Antonio will win one more game.
So you're thinking Knicks in 6.
Yep.
And I'm going to say, man, only because I have to remain consistent, Knicks in 5. Do I want Spurs in 7? Absolutely. I want to see all you Knicks fans miserable. The only team that I want to see bring a championship to New York are the New York Yankees. That's it. If it's any other team, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see Mets fans happy for a
See, I don't
second.
understand that. I mean, you're a New Yorker through and through. As long as
No,
your city, I know.
I'm not. I'm from the
That's
Hamptons, and I'm a Yankees fan, and I have class. And Mets fans have no class, and Knicks fans barely have class. I'm sorry, but they're gonna have to take one for the team. All you Yankees fans that's for some reason wear the orange and blue. It's over for you. Spurs in 7. We'll be back
Yeah,
next
you
week,
know what?
folks.
I forgot. Hey, go Knights, go, man! We got one more big game tonight.
Oh,
You know
that's
what I
right.
mean? Go Knights, go! Hey, we're fighting for our dear lives right now. So, a lot of things to be excited for. So let's keep it positive. Sports are a way to bring people together, not separate. So don't separate. Let's stay together. Let's enjoy these times, man. And because right now the way the world's going, man, we don't have too many things to be excited for. So let's be excited for these championships, and it's almost the All-Star break in baseball, and it's summertime. It's summertime, so let cooler heads prevail, and let's stay positive, and give each other love, man. It doesn't cost anything to be nice to someone.
That's true. Ain't that the truth? The wise words of the great Greg Vaughn to end out tonight. Follow us online at Fox Sports Radio, WGO.com, and we'll be back next week. Over and out, folks. Go Spurs.